Hey guys, before we hop into your video, I wanted to tell you guys about my new partnership with BetterHelp. If you haven't heard of it, it's an online resource in which you can find your very own friendly local neighborhood therapist, no matter where you are in the world. You sign up, and within 24 hours, they match you with a licensed therapist that's right for you. And you can talk to your counselor every week via phone or video chat, and you also have the opportunity to text them in between sessions. As most of you guys know, I am also a licensed professional as well as a mental health advocate, and sometimes in these readings, very in-depth topics come up that are very intricately related to mental health, and it's for that reason that I offer this resource to you guys. And if you know anyone that can benefit from them, or if you yourself can benefit from them, I suggest you take advantage of them. The information to sign up will be in the description box below, but let's go ahead and get into your reading. Hello, Earth signs, and by Earth signs, I mean Capricorn and Virgo. How are you doing? Welcome to your love reading. I'm Princess India if you are new, and if you are family, welcome back, my friend. So we are going to ask Spirit to give us clear and direct guidance for Capricorns and Virgos, please, Spirit. Anything that they need to know, anything of utmost importance, I ask that come to the forefront in this here reading. And as always, I thank you in advance because I know you're good for it. Spirit and what's not, or whatever. Know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and jump right in. We're going to be looking at you guys' energy as well as your person of interest. The first three cards will be the earth energy of Virgo and Capricorn. And the next three cards, I'm going to go ahead and push this up a little. You know what I'm saying? The next three cards are going to be the energy of your person of interest. So the first card that we have for earth signs, whoa, that came out for Gemini. We have the Eight of Wands in the reverse. Whoa. Then we have the High Priestess in the reverse. And then we have the Knight of Wands in the reverse. Oh my. Okie dokie lemon chokey. So what it is looking like, my wonderful earth sign people, specifically Capricorn and Virgo, what it's looking like is you guys are coming into the middle of May in a paused energy. There's a leg thereof of movement forward. The only thing that brings up a tad bit of concern for me is the High Priestess in the reverse, because that means that you are not listening to your intuition. However, I feel the beautiful thing about this is even though there's a lack thereof of, let me rephrase that. You're not listening to your intuition because I feel like there's gonna be something somewhere around the end of May going into June, maybe last week of May going into June, that you guys may find out that that's just, I can't necessarily say that it would be shocking per se, but I feel like you would have a heads up on this if you were in tune, because I feel like it feels like a disassociation, if you will. It's like whether it's being disappointed or heartbroken or hurt or given up on love in totality, whatever the case may be, it's cutting everything off. If that's making sense, it's like cutting off all of your, I don't even know what word I want to use for that. It's cutting off all forms of communication, if that makes sense. So it's more or less like being energetically blocked, if you will. So that's why I say like the thing with heartbreak, because it's like if you're disappointed or, something ended or something hasn't been working out, because that would be all of the situations that fall into the vibrational frequency of the Eight of Wands. It would be all things that one would desire to progress that haven't, right? Now, if a person is hurt multiple times, whether it's by many people, one particular person, or if you were ghosted, like whatever the case may be, if something habitually happens that's disappointing, that doesn't progress the way that you desire, then it's natural and normal that a person would kind of just like shut down because it's too painful. But that's kind of like that Four of Pentacles energy. And it's like in the traditional Rider Waite, it's the guy who's holding the pentacle to his chest and has one that's sitting on top of his head. And it's like he stagnates because it's more or less, it's one holding on or holding this energy within as a form of self-protection because it's afraid of losing more than has been lost up to this point. But the byproduct of this is when we stagnate and we close ourselves off, we exit out of flow with spirit, right? So we don't want our heart broken. So we shut down the heart chakra, right? Then we close off our crown chakra inadvertently because our heart chakra is the chakra that keeps our lower chakras, which is your root, your sacral, and your solar plexus, your human chakras. Your heart chakra works as a blending element between the higher chakras, which would be your throat, your third eye, and your crown, right? So if that stops blending those energies and halts, or if it's underactive, you know what I mean? Then by default, there's no homeostasis in your inner energy system, right? And it by default shuts you off at your crown chakra from spirit, right? So you end up kind of deducing down into your earthly chakras. Sometimes some people will vacate into the higher chakras and then your third eye will end up becoming overactive. So it's kind of in the sense where you're either living in a dream world or you're focusing too much on spiritual things, but there's a lack of a polarity or a balance between your spiritual pursuits and your earthly pleasures, right? Now, because majority of you all are spiritual people here, but because everybody is in different stages of their development, you're going to fall into one or two of those categories. So it's either, completely vacating the body and solely focusing on spiritual stuff. And I see that same thing energetically speaking, like with chakra balancing and whatnot. It's like, when the twin flame union was what was like hot in the streets, right? It's like a lot of people in those situations that I worked with would have overactive third eye chakras because it's like vacating 3D and not paying attention to what's happening in 3D and disassociating from that and focusing heavily on 5D realm, right? And neglecting like their humanity. So that would make it overactive. And then other people you have who completely shut down their spirituality and just start living through sensory pleasures. You know what I mean? Now, the thing I would say with the Knight of Wands and the reverse being here, with our energy going forward, this would feel more to me, because I mean, it could be either or, but that would be symbolic of someone who's retreated into lower chakras. So it's more or less, it's almost like being stagnated in fear, if you will, and losing hope, I guess you would say. It's losing hope, and it's just being fixated on what has transpired, what is now like in front of my face in 3D, what I see. And it's just kind of ruminating over that. And I feel that this ends up becoming like a recycling energy that keeps taking us back to the fact that there's a lack of movement forward. So what I would infer in reference to this is that what would more or less set you guys free or put you on the right path is needing to reconnect with yourself and get back in balance, because there's unresolved energy in relation to your past. So it's your past, whatever it is that you guys have gone through, whether that's recent or distant, that's what's really holding you back, because it's more or less if I were to look at all of these cards in the upright, this would be amazing. It would be someone who's like an arrow. It's like you're shooting forward. You're spiritually supported in that regard. So it's you going fervently in the direction that you feel led. It's you being attuned with spirit, right? And acting on intuitive hits, in so many words. And you would be going passionately in the direction of what you feel led to do. And that would all be spiritually supported as well as guided. So this more or less is the energy of a person who could be on the right track and going in the right direction. It's just that what you've experienced in reference to partnerships or your most recent relationship or what have you has stagnated you out. But that's not a negative thing, because it's almost like you're being given an opportunity, especially because it's like all of the planets that are in retrograde right now. When planets are in retrograde, it's a great time for self-reflection. So this is more or less like a person I would see that's facing or being given an opportunity. It's up to you whether or not you take it. But it would be a person who's being given an opportunity to face their demons, if you will. Because it's stuff from the past and love relationships that are holding you back. And I mean, and that could mean for some of you, this could be in love relationships, period, or this could bleed into other facets of your life. You know what I mean? You could say like, bump dating. I'm not worried about dating. I'm trying to focus on myself right now. You could say that, you know, and that could be the case, but it's still that lack of moving forward and not understanding why that is. And it's even though you've warded off dating and you're like, you know, F love, I don't have time for that, blah, blah, blah. Even if you have that perception, it's still being on a hamster wheel, because what it is that you believe you've left behind, you haven't really, if that makes sense, right? Now, looking at your person of interest, we have the Ace of Wands in the reverse. Good Lord. We have the Ace of Swords. And we have the World card. This is fascinating. Whoo, Lord Jesus. So here's the deal. So with your person of interest, with the Ace of Wands, so that's like recent past for them. This is something that has fizzled out, right? It's a connection that has fizzled out. It's a connection that just kind of bottomed out, right? And that's matching with that Eight of Wands energy in the sense that it's a sense of stagnation, right? Now, when we get the Ace of Swords here, and the thing that I was talking about before, when I was saying the whole thing of like, if you were in tune, it's like what would happen wouldn't really shock you. Like you wouldn't be shocked, but it kind of gives me the vibe of something you didn't see coming. You know what I mean? With this Ace of Swords, I feel that this is that. So I would say at the end of May, like before we get into June, I feel like something that you guys didn't know, and oh, Lord have mercy. It's like what I feel is very specific. Like what just popped up, it's very specific to where everyone wouldn't resonate with it. But I mean, even if they got one person out there, so I have to say it. But I feel that there's going to be some truth that's going to be revealed. I feel that you would have had an inclination of this or a heads up, so it wouldn't like throw you off type of deal with this High Priestess and the Ace of Swords. It's like, it's something that's been hidden, something that has been kept a secret that contributes to the why that this happened. So it's like being in a partnership or dating someone or whatever, and stuff just kind of fizzled out, and it's not understanding why. And it's like, if I were to just go with the frequency that I'm feeling right now and say a very specific scenario, this would be a chick or a dude who multiple people that you dated throughout the course of your life, it's like things will start to get off the ground and then they just don't, right? So it's like a consistent habitual type of thing of people disappointing you. So then you give another person a chance and the same thing happens again. So now it's like at a point to where it's like you kind of shut down because it's not understanding like, why are all of my relationships like this? Like, things seem to be great and moving forward, and this seems like the person that I'm supposed to be with, and it's like all this connection, chemistry, all this other kind of good stuff, and all of a sudden things just stop, right? So it's almost like a person who's reached their breaking point, or like the climax of all past relationships, including this one, right? So you shut down, you disassociate, and you're like, bump love, bump this, bump that, whatever, whatever, right? So from sitting in that sense of stagnation for so long, it's almost like a false bravado where you're very much like, I'm focused on myself and, getting this and da 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 da. So it's an illusion of like empowerment, but it's like on the inside, that hurt and that bitterness and resentment of how things have transpired with past relationships is still very much there. Now, there's no judgment there because, again, human behavior, totally normal. You know what I mean? But it's the fact that it's unresolved. So this stagnant energy, so it's a low vibrational energy of anger, bitterness, resentment, all that other kind of stuff. That's low vibrational energy, right? That's just, it is what it is. That's the frequency of it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so when you're holding in that low vibrational energy, it's going to start to bleed into other facets of your life. So even though consciously, because there's a disconnect between higher chakras and lower chakras, you can have the idea and even the desire to do things differently, but because you're carrying that baggage with you, it slows you down and prevents you from getting to what it is you want to get to. So it ends up feeling like, and this is the vibrational frequency of it, it's like, it feels like no matter how hard you work in life outside of relationships, because you've been said bump relationships because you ain't got time for that. It feels like in other facets of your life, you just can't seem to move forward, right? It's the same pig in a different coat. It's the same energy frequency that you were experiencing in relationships is now bleeding over into other facets of your life. And you're now experiencing that same, I'm trying to move forward, but things fizzle out. Now, what does that say, right? Now, when we come down talking about like self-awareness and things of the sort, these are techniques you would want to know if you really want to revolutionize your life, right? Because everything is everything. So what happens in your partnerships is the same thing that happens in other facets of our life, but it's a little bit more difficult for us to ID it because energetically, that energetic signature is the same, right? But it manifests different. So that would be being on a hamster wheel. So it's on a hamster wheel in relationships, doing a whole bunch of work, it ain't going nowhere. And it's the same thing in other facets of your life. So what I feel like this is happening for, and I mean, for some of you, this energy here, like for those of you who aren't dealing with anyone or whatever, it's like this energy here could literally be that epiphany of having that aha moment when you realize like, wow, it's like in my work life, that sounds a lot like how my relationships are. Things seem to be going well and suddenly it fizzles out. You know what I mean? So for you guys, for both Capricorns and Virgos, this energy here can manifest either as an epiphany or it's going to be information that comes in, right? And it's being connected. You'd have a heads up on it. And I mean, I feel like in a bigger scheme of things, that's neither here nor there. I mean, even if you intuitively had a hunch that, something was about to go down, it's like, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's still going to be that wow type of deal. You know what I mean? And with this, with the Knight of Wands in the reverse and the World card, it's like, I still feel like it's giving you an opportunity. Because I feel like if this is in reference to another person, it's like if that's like an ex or something like that, or somebody that you dated, it's like, this would be something that would put the nail in the coffin and you still would have a choice of what you do about it from that point forward. So it's like, hypothetically, if I go with the scenario that came up in my spurt, right? This is like someone that you dated, everything was like super dope, seemed like y'all were going to be together. Suddenly everything fizzled out. You don't know what happened. And, this is the final breaking point because this has happened so many times before. And then you end up finding out that this person is getting married, right? Like, that's the scenario that I'm seeing. Like, you find out this person is getting married. Now, when this information comes in, you have a choice of what you do with this information. And we say this generally for everyone hypothetical. There might be one person out there in the world that resonates with that, but using the energetic signature of that for the mass populace, then you are offered this information. So the person that you used to date is now getting married. Now you have the power to make a decision on what you're going to do about that, like how you feel about that. Are you going to allow that to be a reinforcer to say, see, this is the reason why, because people is like this and that, and you use that to drain you even farther back into the past and prevent you from moving forward and, not giving love a chance. I don't have time for that, whatever. Because FYI, people who feel like that are people who really want it and just have been disappointed so much. So they just be like, bump love like that, right? Because it's like when you don't care one way or the other, it's just like if it happens, cool. If not, whatever. Like, moving right along. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, you have the choice to let that regress you even more so, or you have an opportunity to use that to enlighten you and allow it to be a lesson learned. You know what I mean? And that's going to take some deep digging and resolve for the other side of that. Like, to allow this to be something that empowers you. It's not you reacting to just label it, create a schematic that's an oppressive one. It's more or less you doing the work to dig deeper, to find those patterns and to enlighten yourself with that new information that's come in. You know what I mean? But whatever the case may be, it's an opportunity that's offered to completely start a new cycle. And I feel like I need to say, like, if it was someone where, someone that you used to date got married type of deal, or is getting married, or whatever the case may be, it's like you have to be realistic about what you're dealing with. You have to be realistic about what you're dealing with in the sense of, if the person that you dated was like, and this is me being really extra, a narcissistic asshole, right? And, they ghosted you, whatever. And now the narcissistic asshole is getting married. And I say it like that because it's your ex that's a narcissistic asshole that's getting married. It's not that your narcissistic asshole ex broke up with you, suddenly had some crazy transformation that sucked out all their narcissistic asshole, and now they're an emotionally balanced and mentally stable human being who knows how to show love and compassion and be a really great person, kind of like how you are in real life. You know what I'm saying? And suddenly they became this, and they met another emotionally well, kind-hearted person who's mentally stable. You know what I'm saying? And now they're going to get married and live happily ever after in a stable, healthy relationship, because that's the way that stuff works. I'm just saying that does not work that way. I wish that it did. If it did, then I would be out of a job. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, oh, we just break up with people and we're suddenly not narcissistic assholes anymore. Like, that's the cure to narcissism. You know what I'm saying? So don't beat yourself down with unrealistic bullcrap like that either. It's like your dick of an ex is going to be the dick of an ex with the new person. You know what I'm saying? But that's one of those, entrapments, because, God, I'm not going to go on a rant. I'm not going to do it. It's just like this whole thing with marriage. It's like the value that people place on the construct of marriage is crazy, because it's the thought of, just because a person wants to marry another one or people get married does not mean that either one of those people are stable or healthy or great marriage partners. You know what I mean? but I see a lot of people who beat themselves up because it's like, oh, my ex got married and I'm still not married. And it's like, but think about how your ex was. You know what I'm saying? Like that, a person getting married isn't a testament of the quality of the person. It's not, it's not at all. But moreover, I see this as, in the bigger scheme of things, this is an opportunity for you to close out something like a repeated pattern or a cycle in your life. It's an opportunity for you to close out something. However, for both Capricorns and for Virgo people, it's less about the other person and it's more about you. I feel like any information that comes in is more or less like trying to get you to break away from this old cycle that's like on, repeat. You know what I'm saying? And giving you an opportunity to really look at yourself, like seeing how these things have affected you. And it's not saying in the sense like, oh, you're bad or you're wrong or something like that. It's just seeing how your experiences have affected you and how there is still a ball and a chain, energetically speaking, with these past situations that have distorted your vision on yourself or your life. And it's trying to free you from that so that you can move forward into something that's more in alignment with you. So it's not one of those things of like, oh, you're screwed up and your ex is going to live happily ever after with somebody. That's not the case at all. It's like the theme I'm already seeing in these readings is that whoever it is that y'all are dealing with, they're still on the same program. Like they're still doing the same shit that they've been doing, that they is doing, and they still gonna be doing it. You know what I'm saying? But it's giving you an opportunity to take your power back of what it is that you're gonna do around situations that surround you. And the thing I would say first and foremost that's of utmost importance is for you to reclaim yourself from your past and to get your I'm gonna say this in this really corny way. You need to get your chakras in alignment. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is it's wherever it is emotionally that you're stagnated, it's time to take the lid off of that shit and deal with it and process it. You know what I mean? Because it's like when you have unresolved anger and stuff like that, and I'm telling you from experience, when you're going through life, like the best thing you can do, and I even feel like I'll tell y'all a little something about my life because I feel like I'm learning this with work stuff. It's like, even if it takes forever, it's like, don't start something else until you finish the last thing. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're going to do something, do it from beginning to end. So even if that means hypothetically, like, if you went through each, stage of, emotional wellness, if you just focused on that or just focused on your finances or whatever the case may be, whatever facet of life, just focus on that until you get that handled and then move forward. You know what I mean? Because if there's stuff that you're leaving, like, even if it's like with your love life, if you're like F love, because you've been hurt and you've gotten to the point, and this is hypothetical, that you feel all people ain't shit and you ain't got time for that. I'm focused on myself, secure the bag or whatever it is. I'm on my boss stuff, whatever the case may be. It's like, that's one of those things that's dark masquerading as light, because the root of that, the energetic influence behind statements such as that, is resentment and bitterness, right? Do you have a right to be resentful and bitter? Hell yeah. You can do that for as long as you want. However, everything in life has consequences. So you can hold on to that false bravado. You know what I mean? But is it really serving you? No. Because if you're realistic and you take a step back and look at the big picture of your life, you could succeed in something, or you could feel like you keep getting pulled back with everything it is you're trying to put your energy in. And it's because it's not about love. It's not about your exes. It's about the energy, because your life doesn't have anything to do with anyone else but you. So regardless of what other people do, yes, other people are fucked up individuals and they do fucked up ass shit. I will agree with you. That's very true. But what you choose to do or how you choose to respond to what other people do or don't do, that's 100% on you. You know what I'm saying? It's like no one else has to answer for that or deal with the consequences of that but you. You feel me? So if there's something that you start to see replicating, it would behoove you at this time to finally face it. If you got to be angry and flip tables and stuff, then do it by all means. I mean, I would suggest to go see a therapist. I'm just saying, it doesn't have to be me, you know? That's why I partnered with BetterHelp. It could be anyone. But it's time to process this stuff, because I feel for you guys, it's a lot of stuff that has happened in romantic relationships that may go all the way back to your childhood, just saying. But it's a lot of stuff that has transpired that has energetically built up, and now it's starting to hold you back in other facets of your life. And for some of you, it's love. So whatever this is that comes out about a past partner, you know what I mean? Even if it's a past partner that's coming back trying to start some new stuff, be realistic about what you dealt with this person, and understand that people do not change that easily, right? But it's giving you an opportunity to cut ties with the past, because right now, all of the energy for Virgo and Capricorn up here is all oriented past tense, right? So you cut ties from that, then you can be present and focus on the future. So anywho, let's go ahead and throw this dice of resonance, because this reading is already way too long. And for those of you who don't know, the extended, I separate Capricorn and Virgo and all other signs. Elements on YouTube, and then everybody gets their own reading on my website or on Vimeo or Patreon or wherever it is that you're watching. Even if it's on YouTube. I keep forgetting that I have YouTube thingy. So you can ask a yes or no question. Okay, we have Libra, we have Gemini, we have Rising, we have Crush, and we have Yes. So yes, Crush, Gemini, Libra, Rising. It's fascinating because I did Gemini before you guys, and after you guys I'm doing air signs, and the fact that 2 air signs came up, that's very fascinating. I'm just saying. So I'm going to throw out some initial cards right quick before we go. Okay, let's go with that. We have J. We have Y, and we have X. Oh, I should have shuffled this more, because those came out in, X, Y, Z came out in Gemini's reading, which I thought was hilarious. So we have, oh, okay. We have R, we have A, we have, and y'all better not talk about my handwriting, we have S, and we have H, and that says Ash. Does somebody need to put lotion on? I'm just saying. We have Gemini. Man, y'all might want to watch Gemini's reading. I'm just saying. Let me get 2 more, Spirit. Let me get 2 more. And in the extended, we are going to be looking at how your person thinks and feels about you, and playing out these cards a little more. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Whoa. Wow, that's weird. In Capricorn, we got Gemini 2 times. I don't know. Y'all dealing with Capricorns? Y'all dealing with Geminis, y'all might want to watch that reading, because Gemini came out twice. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, and then, you know, Pisces with the High Priestess and whatnot. But anyway, that has been your reading, Earth signs. I love your freaking face. I'm going over to Vimeo or my website, wherever it is you watch me. You know what I'm saying? To do you guys extended. So if you're about that life, follow me over there. If not, still love a freaking face, and I will see you guys sooner than later. Deuces, my friend.